Water dripped from my fevered head. "You're too lazy. I'm having friends over for drinks, so clean up the house." My husband scolded me as I struggled alone to care for our twins. He didn't help with the kids or me. If he valued his friends more than his family, then he was no longer needed. "I'll clean it up," I said, seething quietly. My name is Helen. I'm 29 and a stay-at-home mom. Kevin and I have been married for 4 years. I used to work, but I quit when I got pregnant. I was doing great as a full-time employee, so people suggested taking maternity leave instead of quitting. But I refused because I was pregnant with twins. I couldn't see myself going back to work within 2 years with twins. Maybe daycare would work, but there'd be sudden fevers and calls to pick them up. With 2, it would definitely affect my job performance. My company was understanding, but during busy periods, the stress was intense. I didn't have the mental strength to leave on time without doing overtime. Plus, we had savings, owned our house without a mortgage, and could manage on Kevin's income, so I chose to quit. Being pregnant with twins was tough. I can't compare it to a single pregnancy, but the morning sickness was unbearable. Friends who had been pregnant said it got easier in the second trimester, but before that, it was pure hell with frequent IV drips. I held on to the hope that it would get better, only to have my doctor tell me there's no easy period with twins, which shattered me. As the babies grew, it became harder to move. A husband's support should have been crucial. Should have been being the operative words, because my husband was completely unsupportive. He went out drinking and hanging out with friends just like before. I knew he had a wide social circle, but to leave a suffering pregnant wife behind to have fun? It was unacceptable. "Hey Kev, can you help around the house sometimes?" I asked angrily. "You're a stay-at-home mom. You should do it," he snapped back. Someone once said he'd change after the babies were born, but I have my doubts. "I'll be home late. Work dinner," Kevin had said, though I wasn't really listening. Raising the twins was brutal. When one cried for milk, just as I finished feeding them, the other would start. Sometimes they'd cry simultaneously, and I'd be feeding both at once. Nights were filled with crying, with barely any sleep. "Keep 'em quiet. I have to get up early," Kevin would say without a hint of empathy. Even though I was swamped with the twins, he'd still demand, "Where's my food? Where are my clothes?" Honestly, I felt I had the right to snap, but I didn't even have the energy. Every time I tried to talk to him, one of the twins would start crying, diverting my attention. "You've been so cold to me since the kids were born," he said one day. "You've always been cold to me," I thought. I never realized how indifferent he was until I got pregnant. He wasn't the type to love kids, but to be this detached from his own was shocking. Since the twins were born, had he ever held them? Fed them? Changed a diaper? I realized he hadn't done any of it. Maybe it was my fault for doing everything myself. If I forced him to help, maybe he'd develop a sense of responsibility as a father. Our parents lived far away. My mom was taking care of my grandmother, and Kevin's parents were taking care of his grandparents, so we couldn't rely on them. Kevin had to step up. Otherwise, I'd break down. I didn't want to be overwhelmed by the children I had wanted. So I decided to train Kevin. "Hey, the baby is crying. Can you hold her?" "I'm busy." Playing on his phone? Busy? "Can you give one of them milk? I can't handle both at once." "I'm busy." Watching TV? Busy? "Bring me a clean diaper." "I'm busy." Having a beer? Busy? Seriously? Enough! What the hell is wrong with you? Aren't you a father? I snapped. But he wasn't having it either. "I'm tired from work." I'm the one bringing in the money, so I deserve to rest. Even my friends say their wives handle everything so they can focus on work. You not letting me rest makes you a monster. You are the monster. Don't you care about the kids? Of course I do. That's why I'm working so hard. Be more like my friends' wives. Even if he told me to be like those other wives, raising twins is a whole different ballgame. There's no way I could follow their examples. But Kevin kept bringing them up, saying, "At so-and-so's house," or "That guy's wife does this." They all say I'm the one who has it tough. The ones having it tough are our kids, I said, tears in my eyes. He was silent. Then, I'm going off to blow off steam, he said, and left. That's exactly what you shouldn't be doing, I thought. He came back late, past midnight. He was drunk, but looking relieved after venting to his friends, and promptly passed out. I, on the other hand, was full of stress and still sleepless from the twins' night cries. When we first got married, I met some of his friends. They all seemed to value their friendships more than their families. Birds of a feather flocked together, I thought. Their wives must be just as angry as I was. Kevin kept saying, "My friends' wives are so supportive." But I doubted the wives' feelings reached their husbands. Prioritizing friends over family and helping with the kids, and instead going to drinks with friends, just didn't make sense to me. Did I even need Kevin? But I had no income. I wanted to raise the kids myself until they were older, but maybe daycare was a better option. Some people say it's sad to send kids to daycare so young, but wasn't it sadder to have a father who wasn't there and a mother too exhausted to even smile? Raising kids in such an environment is far worse for them. Maybe it was time to seriously discuss things with Kevin, and if that didn't work, consider other options. Sleep deprived from taking care of the twins, I thought so in a gaze. But talking to Kevin wasn't easy with the kids around, and asking our parents to come was impossible with their caregiving duties. I was stuck, unsure how to have this conversation. Time passed without resolution. One day, when the twins were 3 months old and their feeding intervals were longer, I finally had a moment to breathe. Seriously? I stared at the thermometer in shock. It read 104 degrees. No cough, no runny nose, just a fever and a foggy head. Was it a cold or exhaustion? I could go to the hospital and leave the kids behind. Desperately, I messaged my husband. "Please come home early today." His reply? "Can't. Got invited out. It's Friday. Let me have some fun. You don't understand because you're home all day." Dude, seriously, I'm gonna snap. Like, really, really snap. But I can't do it now. I need to get better first. I kept pushing him to come home, and finally, he did. But he walked in saying, "What the hell is wrong with you?" His angry words echoed in my throbbing head. My face was pale, and I was shaky, but all he did was glare at me, clearly annoyed. I mustered my strength and said, "Please, I need to go to the hospital. Watch the kids." "What? The hospital's close by now." "There's one open till 8 p.m. I can make it if I leave now." I glanced at the clock, and it said 7:30 p.m. The hospital is a 5-minute walk away. Pediatrics is open that late? Not for the kids, for me. I have a 104-degree fever that won't go down. Wait, you expect me to take care of both kids? Obviously. He thought I was only asking him to watch one kid while I took the other. When he realized it was both, he shouted, "No way! I'm too tired from work, and yet you want me to take care of the kids?" "Too tired? But you wanted to go out drinking." "I don't need energy for that. Why should I have to take care of the twins?" His yelling made my head pound harder. Placing my hand on my forehead, I begged, "Please, just this once. It won't be long." But he kept saying, "No effing way." He then accused me. "You're just lazy," pointing at the laundry piled up on the floor. "You see that? Why don't you just fold it and put it away? How lazy can you get?" "I barely have time because of the twins." "That's just an excuse. Everyone else manages to do it. You're just lazing around, taking advantage of the situation." "That's not fair. I do what I can." "Then do it now." "I can't, not with this fever." Our argument was getting us nowhere, and the clock was ticking. Holding my pounding head, I said, "I need to go to the hospital. We can talk later." Trying to get ready. "You're not going anywhere," he said, grabbing my arm. "What?" "I canceled my plans because of you. To make up for it, I'm inviting my friends over for drinks." "What?" "But I can't invite them to this mess. Clean this place up. Don't embarrass me." "Kevin, are you serious? You're insane," I said, glaring at him. Just then, I felt water splashed on me and droplets trickled down my bangs. "What the hell?" I glared at him, completely stunned by what had just happened. Kevin was smirking, holding a water bottle I hadn't noticed before. "If you're hot, water should cool you down. How's that fever now?" What the? "I don't have time for your nonsense. I'm having people over. Clean up and don't use the fever as an excuse." "Don't just invite people over without talking to me first." "It's my house. I'll do what I want." "What did you just say?" Did he just say his house? His house? This is our family home. But my house, he insisted. The sheer absurdity of the situation made my fever disappear, but not because of the water. It was the anger. My face turned red, not from the fever, but from rage. The babies started crying, but Kevin ignored them and headed to the bathroom, leaving me soaked. "I'll clean this place up as you wish," I muttered, knowing he couldn't hear me. After calming the twins, I realized the fever was from exhaustion. Kevin continued to avoid helping with the kids and got even more demanding. Before a 2-week business trip, he announced, "I'm having friends over the day after I get back." "How many?" I asked. 20. 20? "Yeah, we can handle 20 people. The house is big enough." He looked smug, not noticing my cold stare. "Fine, I'll clean it," I said. "Do it properly." He left for his business trip with a command rather than a request. I glanced at the sleeping twins. "Okay, it's time to clean," I said, smiling as I dialed a number. 2 weeks later, it was about time for Kevin to return from his trip when my phone rang. As expected, it was him. "Oh, hi, Kevin." "What the hell, Helen? Where's the house?" "It's gone," he yelled. "Helen, answer me." "Sheesh, calm down," I said, moving the phone away from my ear. "I can hear you, loud and clear. You're just making it harder to understand by yelling." "Calm down? How can I? My house is gone." "Well, yeah, I had it demolished. I cleaned the house, just as you wished." "You did what? You can't just do that. It's my house." "No, it's my house," I corrected. When he kept saying my house, I yelled back instantly, catching him off guard. Before he could say anything, I continued. "It was my parents' house, then mine. It's never been yours." "But..." "Yes, the house we lived in was originally my parents'. They decided to move closer to my grandmother's care facility, which was quite far away. They had enough money, so they asked me if I wanted the house instead of selling it. I immediately accepted. I paid the taxes when it was transferred to me. When Kevin and I got married, he said, "I won't pay property tax because it's your house and it's in your name." He even acknowledged it was my house. Friends who visited were envious of its size, which somehow led him to start thinking of it as his own. It was an astonishing leap in logic. But that house was undoubtedly mine. Whether I sold it or had it leveled, it was my decision. I barely saw you at home, and you didn't care about the house. It was easy to get an estimate and arrange the demolition, I explained. What? And I timed it with your trip. I packed up and moved everything with a moving company. Modern movers do everything for you. What about my stuff? I sent it to your office with a note and key for the storage unit. A note? Yeah, and divorce papers. I signed my part. Just fill out yours and send it to the lawyer's address I included. Divorce? Why? But I don't want to get... There's no reason for us to stay married. He was shocked. You can't mean that. When he yelled in utter shock, I bluntly told him, "You often went out drinking, ignored the kids when you came back, did nothing but criticize me, and expected me to handle everything. Do you think you're needed? The kids don't even recognize you as their father. But can you honestly say otherwise?" He was silent, knowing he couldn't. "I'll change. I'll be better." It's too late. You poured water on me when I had a fever. That's grounds for legal action, you know. That was because you're lazy. You're still saying that? Keep saying that for the rest of your life. We can't even have a conversation. Divorce is the only option. We'll communicate through the lawyer from now on. Wait! What? I almost hung up, but he stopped me. What am I supposed to do? I have nowhere to go, and I have to go to work on Monday. Where am I supposed to sleep tonight? Stay at a hotel. I can't afford that. You have money for drinks, but not a hotel? You've never contributed to our household expenses, and now you're broke? He had always avoided paying for anything at home. Even when I worked, he refused to help with bills, claiming it was my house. After I quit my job, he did start contributing a bit more financially, but it was a pittance. It didn't even cover the cost of diapers. It's astounding that he could act so superior. I was half in a state of postpartum depression and didn't have the energy to argue. I used up our savings and government support to get by, but I was at my limit. The house was old, so I decided to sell the land and find a new place. I'm currently staying with my parents. When I asked for help, they welcomed me saying, "Come stay with us." I was too busy with the move to worry about his living situation. I told Kevin, "Figure it out like an adult." "Oh, I know. Ask your friends. You were planning on having 20 over here. Surely one can help." "They're all married." "Why don't you ask one of your equally inconsiderate friends to let you stay? After all, you were planning on hosting 20 of them." Ugh. Once again, he was at a loss for words. "Fine. I'm sorry." Finally, an apology. "I was wrong. I'll be more..." I hung up before he finished and quickly blocked his number. His fake apologies meant nothing now. It's too late for everything. He kept messaging since the phone no longer worked. It turns out none of his friends helped him. He spent the night in a 24-hour diner, lamenting his fate. That kind of friendship isn't worth much. Maybe his friends' wives were furious too. I don't really care. Birds of a feather flock together. They all deserve to be divorced. After a lot of back and forth, thanks to my brilliant lawyer, the divorce was finalized. He tried to hold on, but it was too late. Do you even remember our kids' names? I asked. Marcus and Sean? They're girls! I yelled, making him pale. He didn't even know their gender. How could he be so indifferent to his own kids? During our final meeting, he asked to hold one. The baby cried and clung to me. Of course, you never held them once, I said, seeing his defeated look. He has visitation rights, but since I moved closer to my parents, it's unlikely he'll make the effort. A devoted dad wouldn't have led to divorce. I made him pay child support in a lump sum because I didn't trust him. He resisted until I threatened to garnish his salary. He didn't want his company to know, but they had to be informed for paperwork. Rumors spread, and people thought he cheated, which wasn't true. But choosing friends over family was just as bad. I hope he enjoys the cold stares at work. Side note, Kevin's friends also got chewed out by their wives. They all couldn't believe that their stupid husbands were planning a party at a house with newborn twins. The men stopped hanging out together, realizing divorce was a real threat. Oh, Kevin, you served as a cautionary tale for your friends. You became an example of what not to do. Moving near my parents helped me regain my balance. My grandmother's in a care home, so my parents aren't too burdened. It's wonderful having the grandkids here and not just looking at them in pictures, my mom happily said, which made me happy. With their help, I found a job and the twins started daycare. Life's busy with work, housework, and childcare, but it's fulfilling. Raising kids is tough, but rewarding. Their smiles bring me joy, and I finally feel happy.